again. Welcome to class number 120. Are you ready? Oh, today. Bueno, when I teach, conforme voy enseñando, inserto anticipos de algo futuro, los comparativos. More than, less than. Anything, you remember the song? Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you. Yes, you can. No, you can't. No, I can't. Yes, you can, etc. More. Tengo más que tú. I have more than you. More what? I have more pencils than you. True. I have more microphones than you. Yes, true. I speak English more than you do. Yes, you do. I have more friends than you. Huh? These are my friends. And Marta's my friend too. Marta, you're a friend of mine, right? Are you a friend of mine? Yes or no? She's nodding her head because she can't speak. Come on, say yes or no. No se atreve a hablar. She's a good professional. So are you a friend of mine or not? You are. So I have a lot of friends. Maybe I have more friends than you. Fíjate que he parado en you. Tengo más amigos que tú. Sin embargo, es súper correcto y incluso tal vez más decir, I have more friends than you do. Yes, yes. I am taller than you are. I have more books than you do. Porque do es el verbo auxiliar que vendría de la pregunta, do you have many books? Yes, I have a lot of books. Probably I have more books than you do. Do you have, excuse me, Richard, do you have many pencils? Oh, yes, I have a lot of pencils. Probably I have more than you. Probably I have more pencils than you. Probably I have more than you do. El añadir el do, opcional. You have fewer pencils than me. Ahora escucha. Tienes menos lápices que yo. You have fewer pencils than me. You have less time than me. You have less patience, menos paciencia que yo. Enseñar algo se exige montones de paciencia. You have less patience than me. Yes. Michael Jordan is taller than me. Así lo vas a oír el 70% de las veces. Pero es gramaticalmente incorrecto. You have fewer pencils than I do. En este caso, sí. Hay que decir I do. You have fewer pencils than I do. Pero oirás más veces fewer pencils than me. Yes. I have more pencils than you, and you have fewer pencils than me. I have more pencils than you do. You have fewer pencils than I do. I have more pencils than he does. I have more pencils than she does. I have more pencils than they do. And you have fewer pencils than we do. We have more pencils than you do. All right, more, less. More, less, and more and fewer. Hay menos gente en España que en Francia. There are, escucha, there are fewer, listen, there are fewer people in Spain than in France. More than, T-H-A-N, no digas that, than. More than, less than, fewer than. More se aplica al contables e incontables. Más agua, más vasos de agua. More water, more glasses of water. More oil, more bottles of oil or barriles de petróleo, more barrels of oil, more people. Ahora, negativo, menos. Less water, fewer glasses of water, less oil, petróleo, fewer barrels of oil, fewer people. Now, 90% of the time, you will hear less people. All the time. There are less people in Spain than in France. You hear it all the time. Everybody makes that mistake. I don't. Why? Because I'm a teacher. Estoy deformado ya de hacerlo bien. De formación profesional positiva. Fewer people. There are fewer people. Pero Todo el mundo, por algún motivo que no sé, dice less people. Less problems? Yeah. I have less problems than you do. I have fewer problems. Recuerda, plural, fewer. Singular, less. Que realmente, a mí no me gusta hablar de contable e incontable, porque la gente se posiciona filosóficamente o eso. ¿Qué es contable y qué es contable? El dinero no es contable. ¿Cómo que no? Pues no. No puedes decir tengo 8 dineros. Hay que usar una unidad contable. Tengo 8 euros, 8 dólares, etc. 8 libras. It's countable. Entonces la gente se liga. Singular y plural. All right. Money es una palabra en singular. Less money. Euros euros es un palabra en plural. I have 8 euros. I don't have many euros. I don't have much money. I have less money. I have fewer euros. Yes. I have less money than Mr. Ortega in Galicia. I have less money than Mr. Ortega. He has more money than I do. I have less money than he does. He has more euros than I do. I have fewer euros than he does. There is less water in Spain than in France. There are fewer people in Spain than in France. There's less oil. Petróleo otra vez. There's less oil. Es que oil has 3 meanings. Has 3 usages. Usajes, usos. 3 usages. Petróleo, oil, aceite, de cualquier tipo, aceite de oliva, aceite industrial, aceite para la piel, aceite, oil, y también gasolina, ¿dónde estoy? Gasolina, aceite de oliva, sí, aceite vegetal, aceite, olive oil, sunflower oil, rapeseed oil, there are many oils, palm oil, there are many oils, oil. Pero cuando fuera de contexto se dice oil, se suele pensar en petróleo, oil. There's oil on my land. I found oil on my land. O como dicen en Texas, all. I found all on my land. All, oil. Oil. Oil well, pozo de petróleo, well. Now there's less oil in Spain than in Saudi Arabia. There's more oil in Saudi Arabia than in Spain. There are fewer flamenco dancers in Saudi Arabia than in Spain, which means there are more flamenco dancers in Spain than in Saudi Arabia. There are more camels in Saudi Arabia than in Spain, which means, lo cual quiere decir o significa, which means there are fewer camels in Spain than in Saudi Arabia. There are more guitarists in Spain than in Saudi Arabia, which means there are fewer guitarists in Saudi Arabia than in Spain. There's more sand, arena, there's more sand in Saudi Arabia than in Spain, which means, lo cual significa, tercero singular, which means there's less sand in Spain than in, there's a lot of sand in Spain, but there's less sand in Spain than in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia. There are more people in Spain than in Saudi Arabia, which means there are fewer people in Saudi Arabia than in Spain. There are more oil wells. Well, como estoy bien, well, very well. Well también es pozo. Water well, oil well. There are more oil wells in Saudi Arabia than in Spain, which means there are fewer oil wells in Spain than in Saudi Arabia. Y pero recuerda, lo mismo que is the same as. 1/2 is the same as 50%. Anna Barghini lives in the same city as her father, and she works in the same company as her father. But she has less money than her father. Her father has more money than she does. She has less money than he does. Sin embargo, decimos, los nativos, y maldecimos. Luigi has less money than her. She has, has more money than her. She has less money than him. All right. Y si lo dices, fantástico, no pasa nada. Pero lo correcto es she has less money than he does. He has more money than she does. He has more money than I do. I have less money than he does. Do you have more money than I do? Or do you have less money than I do? Look, I have 20 pencils here. I have 20 pencils in this room. Now, at home, do you have more pencils than I do? Or do you have fewer pencils than I do? Ahora, un nativo probablemente diría, do you have more pencils than me? Es correcto en el uso. Es incorrecto en el libro de gramática. Y lo dice aquí en page 151, un inciso es gramaticalmente más correcto, etcétera, etcétera. Todo está aquí. I don't need, esto es una chuleta de hacer trampa en el examen de 405 páginas. I don't need to explain the grammar. I need to demonstrate again and again and again and motivate. Demonstrate and motivate. Yes, that's my job. Esto lo dice mejor que puedo decirlo yo. So, Spain has fewer oil wells than Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has more oil wells than Spain. There are more people in Spain than in Portugal. There are fewer people in Portugal than in Spain. There are more fado singers in Portugal than in Spain. There are fewer fado singers, in Spain than in Portugal. However, there are more flamenco dancers in Spain than in Portugal, which means there are fewer flamenco dancers in Portugal than in Spain. There are more cowboys in Texas than in Spain. There are fewer cowboys in Spain than in Texas. There are more Comanche Indians in Texas than in Spain. There are fewer Comanche Indians in Spain than in Texas. There are very few, if any, Comanches in Spain. How many Comanches are there in Spain? There aren't any. How many nuns are there in Spain? Nuns. Monjas. How many nuns are there in Spain? I don't know, maybe 20,000. Really? Are there 20,000 nuns in Spain? Well, I have no idea. Para decir no tengo ni idea, o decir ni idea, decimos I have, empezando en el afirmativo, y luego insertamos no, N-O, que suene a N-O-U, no. Y luego enlazas con la I de idea. I have no idea. I have no idea. 10,000 nuns. There are 10,000 nuns in Spain. Maybe. There are a lot of nuns in Spain. Well, there are a lot of Spanish nuns in Latin America, in Africa, in Asia. There are a lot of Spanish nuns, monjas españolas. But in Spain, maybe there are 10,000 nuns in Spain. And how many nuns are there in Texas? Probably there are fewer nuns in Texas than in Spain. There are fewer nuns in Texas than in Spain. There are more nuns here in Spain than in Texas. But Comanche Indians, no. There are more Comanche Indians in Texas than in Spain. There aren't any, que yo sepa, as far as, tan lejos como, as far as I know, anticipo de algo por aquí, as far as I know, there aren't any Comanche Indians in Spain. But is there any Comanche blood in Spain? Blood? Perhaps there is a little, but very little. There's very little Comanche blood in Spain. Tiene que haber algún de ADN. But there's very little. There's less Comanche blood in Spain than in Texas. And Cherokee blood. Cherokee blood, Cherokee. You say in Spanish, Cherokee. There's more Cherokee blood in Oklahoma than in Texas or New Mexico, than any other state. There's less this is true. I lived in Oklahoma for 9 years, and my best friend was half Cherokee, half German. German blood. His mother was of German descent. His father was full Cherokee, Indian, and he was the head, jefe en este caso, the head of the FBI in eastern Oklahoma, in eastern Oklahoma, and he was full Cherokee. So my best friend's father was the big boss of the FAB, of the FBI. All right, and he was Cherokee. So there's more Cherokee blood. Blood is sangre, blood. There's more Cherokee blood in Oklahoma than in Texas. There's less Cherokee blood in Texas than in Oklahoma. However, there's more Comanche blood in Texas than in Oklahoma. There is Comanche blood in the south of Oklahoma, but there's less Comanche blood than in Texas. All right, more than, less than, fewer than. Fewer people. There are fewer people in Portugal than in Spain. There are fewer people in Spain than in France. There are fewer people in France than in Germany. And there are fewer people in Germany than in Russia. And there are fewer people in Russia than in India. And there are fewer people in India than in China. China's number one. 1.4 billion people. In India, 1.3 billion. In the future, maybe India will be number one. Will be, futuro simple. Maybe in the future, India will be number one. The biggest country in the world in population, the number one country in the world. But right now, there are fewer people in India than in China. There are more people in China than in India. There are more big cities in China than in the United States. There are fewer big cities in the United States than in China. There are more big cities in the United States than in Spain. There are fewer big cities in Spain than in the United States. Okay, you got it? There are more trees. There are more trees in Russia than in Spain. There are fewer trees in Spain than in Russia. There are more gold mines in South Africa than in Spain. There are fewer gold mines, minas de oro, gold mines in Spain than in South Africa. Why? Because the Romans took all the gold. Yes, los romanos quitaron todo el oro que había aquí, plata. Spain, 2,000 years ago, was the richest territory in the world in gold and silver. That's why the Carthaginians, the Romans, the Greeks, the Phoenicians, to Spain to extract. Yes, 600 years with Rome, all the gold and silver. Goodbye. All right, so there's less gold and silver in Spain than in South Africa. There's less silver in Spain, menos plata. There's less silver, plata de plata, no plata de pasta de dinero. Porque en Latinoamérica tienes plata. All right. There's less silver in Spain than in Bolivia. There's less tin, T-I-N, tin, estaño. There's less tin in Spain than in Bolivia. There's less copper, cobre. There's less copper in Spain than in Chile. There's more copper in Chile than in Spain. There's less mercury in the United States than in Spain. Spain's the number one country in the world in mercury, mercurio, I think. Yes. There is, escucha, esto es bien, eh? There are fewer olive trees in Italy than in the province of Jaén. Yes. 20% of all the olive trees in the world are in Jaén. And Jaén is the fourth poorest province in this country. Something is wrong in the distribution of wealth. Something is wrong in the management. But 20% of all of the olives, no sé si son aceitunas o olivos, o sea, olivares. O sea, 20% is in Jaén. 40% of all the olive oil, all the olive trees in the world are in Spain. 40%. Spain is number one, by far, por lejos y por mucha distancia. Spain is number 1 with 40% of all the olive oil or olive trees in the world. Italy is number 2 with 15% or something. Jaén, and half, 50%. You remember, 1/2 is the same as 50%. 50% of all the olive production in Spain is in Jaén, in the province of Jaén. Jaén is one big olive grove. Grove is arboleda, en este caso olivares. Como ogrove en Galicia. Es una palabra inglesa, grove. All right, so there are more than, less than, fewer than, more than, less than, fewer than. There are more people in this room, including my friends, than in the room next door. There are more people in Madrid than in Barcelona. City, the city. There are more people in Valencia than in Zaragoza. There are more people in Bilbao than in Burgos. There are fewer people in Salamanca than in Valladolid. There are fewer people in Toledo than in Madrid. There are fewer people in Berrocalejo than in New York City. There are fewer people in Bradford, in England, than in London. There are fewer people in Bristol than in Glasgow. There are fewer people in Paris than in Shanghai. There are more people in Shanghai than in San Francisco. There are fewer people in San Diego than in San Francisco. There are fewer people in San Francisco than in Los Angeles. There are fewer people in Los Angeles than in New York. But there are more people in Los Angeles than in Chicago. Chicago is number 3. New York, Los Angeles, Chicago. Houston is number 4. So there are more people in Houston than in Dallas. There are fewer people in Dallas than in Houston. There are more people in Italy than in Spain. There are fewer people in Spain than in Italy. There is more olive oil in Spain than in Italy. There's less olive oil in Italy than in Spain. Less con incontables, o singular. Fewer con plural. There's less, I have less time now than 5 minutes ago. Yes. I have less time now than 2 minutes ago. I have less time now than 1 minute ago. Siempre es igual. Yeah. I have more time now than in 2 minutes. So more and less time. I have fewer minutes now than 10 minutes ago. And I have fewer years to live than you probably, because I'm older than you. There are fewer pencils in your house than here. You have less money than the Rockefeller family, probably. Maybe not. You have fewer opportunities than the Rockefeller family because you have less money. Money gives you options. You have fewer options than the Rockefeller family because you have less money than the Rockefeller family. But but probably you have fewer problems than the Rockefeller family. You probably have fewer problems than the rich people. Rich people have a lot of problems. It's better not to be rich, right? It's better to stay poor. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Interesting debate. Yes, do rich people have more problems or fewer problems than poor people or middle class people? Who has more problems? Who suffers more anxiety? Middle class people or rich people? Do rich people suffer more anxiety than you and me? Or do we suffer more anxiety than the rich people? Yeah. Do you work more or less than I do? I work 40 hours a week. Do you work less or more than me? Error, than I do. No? Okay, los dos valen. Do you work less or more? I probably work more than you do. I work 40 hours a week. Well, maybe not. Maybe you work more than I do. Now, does Anna Margini work less than I do or more than I do? She works more than I do. She works more than I do. Does Li Tong, our Chinese friend, does he work more or less than I do? He works the same, but he spends more time than I do with his job because 1 hour traveling to and 1 hour back. So 10 hours a day. He spends 10 hours a day involved with his job. It takes me 15 minutes to come. And so basically, in essence, se dice en esencia, he works more than I do. But he doesn't work more hours. And he doesn't work fewer hours. He works the same hours as, toma con same as, por favor, no than. He works the same number of hours as I do. But he works more than I do. All right. I don't have more time. I don't have any more time. I have to say goodbye. Goodbye.